Okay, here's for both of you. What's the difference between a job ad and a job description? I say none, except the tone. A tone is more conversational for an ad and a little more formal and dry for a description. But Mitch Sullivan, the genius, he said, a job ad sells, a job description informs. So I replied to him, I said, that's half an answer. We don't know what selling versus informing is, okay? So as anybody, I guess selling is a bit lying. You just tell the good things and leave out the bad till later. Does anybody
Nobody tells you the bad things.
Anyone want to comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
I would say that a job description
Yeah.
is basically just what's used for internal purposes at a company, and a job ad is really about.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Were you not listening to what I said? Okay, that means
It's for
nothing if
legal
you don't
reasons.
explain why. Okay, yeah,
It
it's
is.
used
It's legal
internally.
reasons.
What's the difference?
The difference is that you're not going to use a legal document to sell, right? Or to promote. It's internally, it's basically the CYA for the company. So all the required skills, preferred skills, what the functions are all clearly laid out internally.
Yeah, and what's in the ad?
The ad is sometimes doesn't have any of that. It's basically, why would somebody want to take this job? What does the company do?
Yeah, and how's it? Yeah, you know what? Why does somebody want to take this job different from the job description? Okay.
Job descriptions don't include what's important and relevant and what people want to see. It's dry.
Like what? Give me an example or you're out. You think of it for a minute. Michael G. Cox, I got to tell you something, everybody. I know this sounds boring, but when we're sending out these outreaches, okay, we have to sell, right? So that makes a difference. Do you send a job description or do you send some kind of baloney? Hey, David Perry, he said, a job ad is like, or a resume. He said a resume is like the negligee. Okay, you show a little, but everything's hidden still a little bit. Okay.
Wasn't it DSP that was talking about what was
Speedo.
it? The size of a Speedo?
Speedo. That was me. That was me. He said a dress, okay, or a skirt. I said that. A Speedo is like it reveals enough to be attention getting, but it leaves a little bit for personal conversation later on. Okay, so you're saying, Michael G. Cox, that's what an ad is. It does enough to attract attention, but then the real goods come later on. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. So here's what I'm saying. What I think a great way to illustrate the difference is, as David had begun to mention, a job description is the back office stuff. Where I didn't agree with what he had said is it is used internally. Those things are never, okay, let's say rarely used internally. It is a CYA thing. You see the job description, it includes all the boring legal stuff. And a job advertisement, those of us that are old enough to remember, a job ad was like a 1 inch by 1 inch little square.
Not always. Sometimes they were big. Sometimes,
but it doesn't have to have anything. It doesn't have to have anything in it. It doesn't even have to sell, like Mitch had mentioned. Or maybe this is selling. It just shows job title and fax number. Remember that? It was just a job title, fax number, and maybe like a requirement.
I remember before faxes.
And you would have to fax your stuff in. And if you were working in an agency back in the day, your fax would just go crazy.
Yeah, depending on the size of your company. Okay,
with that roll of fax paper, it was horrible.
Actually, I've got later on some notes. A guy said when you're sending an email out to contact people, just a one-line description of the job tells you 85% of what you have to know. But I want everyone to note what these two geniuses are telling me is that the candidate has no reason to look at the job description. Okay, that's nonsense. They do. Okay,
no,
how are they going to know what their job is if they're not looking at the job description to get
they can look at that later.